these are dollars we can capture. There's actually far more than 100 million being spent by the village outside of your community. By capturing 20% of what you're spending outside of your community, we can capture 100 million in the village being spent on retail and commercial goods right now. So that's a massive number. That's every year. So, and that will grow as people start to learn that when you give your money to major corporations, it's never coming back. You might see 10 cents on the dollar come back into your community. When you give your dollar to a mom and pop shop that's here in the village, 80 cents on the dollar comes back. People are employed by those local businesses. They're employing friends and family. Those people then in turn support museums locally, buy more goods locally, spend their money and their paychecks locally. So you end up with a multiplier. We haven't even gotten into that study yet. So it becomes very, very important that we start to get the public to bring the money back into your own economy.
And I think something that we have to realize is, even if we talk about the amount of money that goes outside of our community, and most people say almost 95 cents on the dollar in the African American community goes somewhere else anyway. It won't circulate at one time in that particular community. What I'm concerned about more so than anything else is the 5% that we do spend in our community, the quality of that 5%. When you think about what you buy here relative to what you get other places, does that suffice? Does that even meet your standard? 5% that you spend. And that's a question that we have to decide as a community. Even though this chart shows that we can make huge economic gains, we have to decide on whose back will these economic gains be made. Because
would it be on your back, or would it be something that you're receiving?
No, what I'm saying is that right now, when we think about economic gains, we think about the type of businesses that we want to bring into our community. Some of those businesses may not be the best things for our community, even though they generate money in our community. For example, we have nightclubs. We have tons of nightclubs that we enjoy.
Oh, that type of stuff.
Yeah, but is that something that creates the type of community?
We're definitely getting to that. It's definitely
that we want to reflect.
Yeah. So and again, the bottom line is to also remember very.
Yep. I have a question.
Yeah.
It seems to me, though, it's about culture. It's about how the people who live in Hempstead now spend their dollar. And it sounds to me that we're talking about bringing some different people into Hempstead that will spend their dollar in a different way.
I think first you need to, I think it's a question of what does the community itself want before you're looking to bring in folks from elsewhere, and that's going to be a part of the equation. I don't think anyone has at their end game that the village of Hempstead is only going to be folks who currently live here, but you need to support that population first. The question is, when you go out to eat, when you go shopping for food, when you go looking for goods or services or gifts, how much of it is done in the village? And how much more could be done if you had the right range of offerings? For example, going back to Bristol where we've had some experience, they just don't have an option. I mean, they don't have certain types of home goods and furnishings. Even if they wanted to go to the local shop, even if it wasn't as good as something that was in another town, it doesn't even exist. So their dollars have to go elsewhere. So the first question is, you have 60,000 to 70,000 folks that are recognized living in the village. At least 10, 20, 30,000 more who do live here. And not enough of those dollars are spent here. Very simple. Why? To a large degree, you don't have the right mix of uses. They're going to Roosevelt Field, they're going to Garden City, or they're going to Freeport, wherever it might be. Nothing against those places, but if you had the options, you'd spend it here. And then I think it's about balance, David. I mean, there's nothing, look, I like going to nightclubs also, but when that's the only thriving business out there, let's face it, when I go home on a Tuesday night, I'll go buy a bottle of liquor as well. But if that's your only option in terms of your vibrant retail setting, that's not balance. So how do we fill out the balance, serving the needs of the community first? And from there, you can start worrying about the needs of the rest of Long Island. Because I'll tell you this, I think it'd be a shame if in 5 or 10 years, when this is really going, that I don't have a place in Hempstead either. I'd love to come visit the folks, and I'm creating friends here. But we have to fit the needs of the community first, and from there we can look elsewhere.
So let me say, those projections are the people who are here right now.
Yes.
That's what they believe.
Yes.
Not someone coming.
No, this isn't
and
saying
then
that if we built a
spending
great downtown, you'd have $100 million of dollars coming in. You would also likely have that, because there's no place. I mean, what do you have? Rockville Center and Huntington, those are our two downtowns. Freeport in the summer, maybe Long Beach. We don't have really cool, vibrant places on Long Island. And the village has, because of its transit, because of its history as the hub, because of its current diversity, it has all these assets where it could be something really special that doesn't exist. So not only would you serve the needs of the people living here, but I certainly know I would love to come on down from Glen Cove and have a really cool, vibrant place where I can go to a museum, go to a club, get whatever type of ethnic restaurant it might be. That's the type of setting. So there's a balance of serving the needs of the community and also being a destination. They don't run against each other, I
So,
think.
question, just wondering. So if you increase the population in Hempstead by doing that, then you're also increasing the potential of the 100 million that you already.
If you increase it in the right way. I mean, it has to be a range of housing units, and to a large degree, I think you have a large, latent population, people who are living in a village that, let's take Long Island as a whole, because I don't have a Hempstead stat. 60% of 18 to 35-year-olds, is it, live with their parents or grandparents, all across Long Island. Then you add another 20% that might not live with their parents, only because their parents are paying them to rent someplace. Well, that's not sustainable or viable. So you have a lot of folks in the village that if you provided an attainably priced unit, workforce housing, you're not talking about Section 8 or things of this like, but something that's not $2,500 at Avalon either. Something that's affordably priced for someone who's out there working. Now you're taking people who are currently living in the village and they're just going to be living in a better location within the village. That's part one. And then certainly, will there be an additional population as well? It'd be foolish to say no. I think you want to welcome that if it's done in a responsible and phased manner.
But it's a strong economic benefit.
No, the economic benefit, again, if it's done right, are tremendous.
The other major trend is that